bunch of yeses going on. So let's go through this again. Okay? I'm going to write the equation up here again. Y equals A bracket x minus r, x minus s. Okay? Okay? So our first step here, and I apologize for people who are going to watch the recording, I missed out here. Our steps are, start the equation form, then sub in your r, s, and y values, x, y values. So what you're trying to do here is we're trying to solve for y. Okay? Trying to solve for a. Let's figure out what we have here. Okay, so I like to make my list over here. So I'm going to go r, I would do that. Let's write a little thicker too. So I have r here, I have s, x, y, and a. Let's figure out what we have and what we need. So if you look here, x-intercepts of 5 and 1. So that is our r and s values. So r equals 5, s equals 1. And it goes through the point -3 and 7. So that's my x and y value. So -3 and 7. So we're trying to solve for a right now. Okay? So we have all this information. The only thing we're missing is a. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through the formula and solve for our unknown using good old algebra. So y is 7. A is just a, and then we plug in for x. -3. Now it's minus here. So whatever number I'm going to put in here, it's going to switch the sign. So in this case, it's a +5. So when I put it in, it's going to be a -5. And then -3 again. And s is going to be 1. It's going to be -1. Then from there, we're just doing our math. So we have a, -8, -4. Now I like to move this number, once I get this number, -8 times -4, I like to move it to the front of, in front of the a. If you wrote it like this, that's fine, right? It just seems weird for me there. So I like to write it in front. That's why I write 32a. Okay, and negative times negative is a positive. And then we have 32 times a, so I'm going to move that over to isolate the a, so it's going to become 7 divided by 32 equals a. So a equals 7 over 32. Okay. You could make that a fraction, a decimal place, of 0.22 if you wanted to. That's also fine. I like fractions better than decimal places. And then our last step is to write it out in factor form. Then we're going to do this here again, but we're going to fill in this, and this with the numbers as it is. Okay? Well, one second, I have to... Miss Green called me, so I'm going to let her know that I'm currently busy. I apologize. Alright. So, then we're going to fill in the information we know. So we know our a value is 7 over 22, or 32, sorry. Bracket x, and we're going to fill in our r value, -5 and x minus 1. And there's our formula for the equation, for that problem. do we feel about that so far? Good, good. Tanners are great. All right. So let's apply it to a real situation now. Okay? And whenever we do word questions, I always encourage you to sketch a little diagram. It makes it a little bit easier for it. So Golden Gate Bridge is a suspension bridge supported by cables that form a parabola. But I was amazed when I asked this question last year. Who cannot picture the Golden Gate Bridge in their head right now? Can you tell me in chat if you cannot picture it, and I'll pull up a picture of it for you? Here. It's the most famous bridge in the world. Tell me if you know what it looks like in chat for me. Is it yellow? No, it's not yellow. It is red. It's in a whole bunch of movies. It's in. Have you guys seen X-Men 3? The big picture in X-Men 3 here. So if we take a look at this picture here. Yeah, but the Warriors jersey. So, where's a nice picture here? Okay, here's a great picture. These pictures here. So, where it ties on to this high point here, and this high point here, it's called suspension bridge, right? But that creates a parabola. You can see that right there. Okay, so the shape of this bridge is actually parabolic, the way it goes. Okay, enough Warriors and Lakers and everything talk, and Lawrence will get in there, but the Clippers. Okay, so it's a parabola. You can see that right there. So that's what it's talking about, like parabolas in real life kind of look along those lines. So let's sketch the bridge here. And as you guys know, I am the worst artist in the world, so if I could give this over to a person who could actually draw, it'd be a lot better. Actually, let me erase that. I've already messed it up. There's one tower, there's the other tower, and we have something that looks like that. Perfectly drawn bridge. And those are the, and we have the cars down here. Should I draw a car? There's a truck going across it. Best drawing ever. Okay? So the Golden Gate Bridge is a suspension bridge supported by cables that form a parabola, which you saw in the picture. The cables are attached at either end in a pair of towers 152 meters above the roadway. Okay? So 152 meters above the roadway. The towers are, so this point here is 152. And this is the 152 as well. Right? If we were doing like an XY graph here. Let me see here. So there's like our Cartesian plane. Okay. The towers are 1,280 meters apart. That's long if you think about it. That's a kilometer. So that's pretty much from St. James almost to the 7-Eleven. That'd almost be about the same. Okay? So that's that far apart. The cables reach the lowest point 4 meters above the road. So this point here is 4 meters above the road. Determine the algebraic expression used to model the cable. Okay. So I actually drew this a little bit wrong here. in order to understand this question, we have to kind of put the x-axis right here. Okay? So let's interpret it. We need to know our zeros, and we need to know a point. Okay? So I'm going to give you guys a little bit of time here. Can you figure out what the zeros are? And can you figure out what a point is? I'll give you a hint though. This here is the point. That's the, you can figure out, hypothetically, you can figure out 3 points here. But the one point I'm looking for, that's the y of that point. If you could figure out a 0 or that x, please type it in chat. Or if you want to give me a different point, if you think there's a different point here that you can figure out. Okay? Type it in chat, think about it. Maybe I'll redo my drawing to help you out too. Actually, I think I'm wrong there. Actually, that's not that. Okay. So that there is 152 altogether. This here is 1280 altogether. Okay. That's good, Christopher. The lowest point would be halfway the distance of the bridge. And McCann, you have your zeros correct. So good. So we figured out the zeros. We're at 0 and 1280. Because that starts at 0. And this here, if it's 1280 wide, this point here will be 1280. Very good. Now, if you look at chat, Christopher made a good point and said the lowest point would be halfway. So let's build off of that, and I'll see if you can figure out what that point would be in x, y. You have it half right, Christopher. 640 is half. But -4 is not correct. I'm going to do my attendance here as you guys figure that out. Alright. Christopher's here, Tej is here, Emma's here, Fiona's here, Mark's here. Alicia, I saw Alicia earlier. If I'm not mistaken. Yeah. Alicia's here. Paris is here. I saw Paris. Where'd she go? Oh, there you go, Paris. Lago I saw come in. Ben I saw come in. Jordan I got. McCann. Jory is not here, if I'm not mistaken. No Jory. Malcolm I saw. Lucas, Cam, Trin, Z. Good. Okay. Do we have a guess about that? Not quite 76. 148. Good. So, if you think about it, if we think the road... Oh, sorry, I did your diagram wrong. I misled you. So the road is at 152. Let me take that away. The road is at 152. It says the cable comes down 4 meters close to the road. So in that case, we're going to go 152 minus 4 is 148. But because it looks like this, it's actually going to be negative 148. Does that make sense to everyone? That's a tricky one. That'd be like the hardest one I could give you. Okay?
That's right.
Yeah, Tanner?
I think it's 640.
640 because it says that the lowest point is we're 4 meters above the road. In a parabola, that lowest point is going to be halfway between these 2 points. So they got 640 by going 1280 divided by 2 is 640. And that would give us our line of symmetry straight down the middle. Okay?
Right.
Yeah. So now we have our points. Now we have to do exactly what we did above. Okay? So this is my R. This is my S. I have my X and Y. So I write down my equation. And then I just fill in my info from there. 148 equals A bracket 640 minus 0 and 640 plus 148, right? Because that, oh sorry, I messed up. I was looking at the wrong number. Minus 1280. So negative 148 equals A bracket 640 and negative 640. What's that number? Let me do this in my head real quick. 409 600A. Just multiply those two together. That'll be negative. And then we move it over, so we get negative 148 divided by negative 409, 600 equals A. So A is going to equal 0.00036. Okay. Then we take this A and plug it back in the original equation. Y equals 0.00036 bracket X minus 0 and X minus 1280 as I run out of room here. Okay. How do we feel about that question? Once we got it all organized, did we kind of understand how to go from there? That would be the hardest question I could give you in terms of thinking and finding the vertex and things along those lines. Now, we're going to look at this one here. You can also find the equation using a graph. Okay? So the first thing we have to do here is we have to identify what our R, S, X, and Y is. So I want you to think about it for a second. Don't write it in chat right now. I want to give everyone about 30 seconds. Then I want you to write in chat what you think all these are. What's the R, what's an S, what's the X, and what's the Y? All right, so who, you want to type in chat what you think they are? Please and thank you. And yes, I do drink from a, oh, keep fading out there, a Wonder Woman big glass. So who can tell me, looking at that chart, what is the R, S, X, and Y. -4 and 8 is what, Tej? I agree with you, but what is it exactly? The R and S. Perfect. Okay. So R and S is -4 and 8. It doesn't matter which one you do. How about the points? Can you find a point on that graph? And give it to me in X, comma, Y. $2.27? Yeah, I guess you could use that one if you want to. Good. Where's my pen here? So you could use 2 and 27. Is there an easier point there? I always love zeros. So if you look here, this point right here would be 0, 24. You use either one. They'll each give you the same answer. But if you can find one that has a 0 in it, it's a little bit easier. And then, same thing over, we take this information over here. So we get 24 equals A, and this is where having a 0 makes it a little bit easier. So it's going to be 0. Now my R is -4, so when I bring it in, it's going to switch signs, so it's going to become a +4. And 0 minus 8. So 24 equals a 4 times -8. 24 equals -32a. Then we bring this over. 24 over -32 equals a. So a equals, what's that as a decimal place? 0.75. And now we have our A, and we have an X, and we have an R. So we go back and we plug them into these 3 spaces to give our final equation. Okay? And that is all for this morning's lesson. You have, and the homework should be quite easy in terms of being able to complete it. Right here, oops. Okay, homework. There's 5 questions there for you. There's 2 questions just like the very beginning one. There's 2 word questions, including my favorite question 4 there. And then there is a graphing question, okay, for you to work on.